Jesus, boys, girls, in-betweeners, we're late, we're back. It's been 3 weeks, I guess. We made no promises. We said this wouldn't be every single second week. We're terrible people. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, and the delay for this particular one was because I was staffing a convention, so...
That's right. Nayman got to be popular and have people who actually like to talk to him actually talking to him.
Oh, so you don't like talking to me? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. This is solely for my benefit, no one else's. So there's been some interesting things happening in the world of video games and pop culture in the last few weeks, which we are now going to talk about because that is a thing that you'd like to listen to us do for some reason. So let's go ahead and deep dive right into this, like a ghost in the shell, and go straight into the pre-E3, or as Nayman wrote down, pre-E3, which is as one word. So I guess that's clever.
I try to be.
So I've gone into this one woefully unprepared, as I've explained to Nayman already, because I don't really have big predictions for E3. I mean, obviously I'm on the fighting game spectrum of things, so I'm expecting to see some Marvelous Capcom Infinite there, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I mean, we just found out that Dissidia is being released next fucking year, which is, God, why? But aside from that, I don't know, I don't really have anything big because, like, I would love, like, yeah, all my big games this year have already come out, and Mass Effect Andromeda was already just a shit show. So I don't really know so much. What do you think? What are your thoughts on E3? And maybe I'll bounce off that, Nayman.
I always look forward to E3, even if it's not games I'm looking forward to per se. It's more how do they present it, and it's always just kind of a shit show online, regardless of how good or bad things can be. So there's always that. It's also a matter of just kind of seeing the general attitudes people have towards things, because unless you're a big fan of a specific game, most people kind of stick to their own stuff. So this is kind of a time where all gamers kind of get online together and kind of display what they think about certain things. So it's kind of a weird time.
The universal contempt for everything being released.
More or less, yes. But
okay, well, here's probably the big question. I think I've already listened to a couple of other pre-E3 speculation videos and whatnot, and this is probably the one question that I find most interesting of all, I suppose, more than anything else, is, and I don't put much stock in this theory, but it was an interesting kind of theory nonetheless. It was coming from a person who, I won't name names here, but who was more a Nintendo fan than anything else. I'm not saying he's terribly biased or anything else, but that stands around the point. Point is, his theory was that unless that Microsoft gets a very good year this year, like really starts to see some growth in terms of console sales, or being able to penetrate the Japanese market, or things like that, they're going to start backing out of the console race. What do you think about that? I don't put much stock in that because, like, they've got the bottomless wallet, they've got a decent install base in the US and the West. And if nothing else, they've always proven pretty much since day one, since the original Xbox was launched, that they are just prepared to throw money at this thing until it works. What are your thoughts on this?
it's an interesting thing because I can see that happening if things go a certain way. I wouldn't say that unless they have a big year that will definitely happen. But it's one of those things where Microsoft is, as far as the Xbox goes, is more or less a North American console.
Yeah.
Little bit in Europe, but absolutely dreadful in Asia.
Yeah, it's box cancer in Japan. We all know this.
Yeah. So it's something I could definitely see because the 360 did really well in America, but now even in the States, the PS4 is still doing better than it as far as last time I checked the numbers go.
Yeah, and
with I'm not sure if they'll say much about it this year, but last year's E3 they were really focused on the crossplay feature. Oh, you can play it on your Xbox, and then it'll go over to your PC or tablet or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see if maybe they'll use that as a reasoning to say, okay, let's focus on our PC and tablet stuff and not try to win basically a culture war in a sense.
Why do you think that why do you think the Xbox One is really? I mean, I'm a Microsoft fan. I've always been a big believer in the Xbox. I've owned every version of it, even like the original Xbox with this giant like ship anchor controls and whatnot. And I've always thought that it was a good console. It had good hardware.
It's not really a matter of whether the console's good because like I agree. I think Xboxes are generally good consoles. It's a matter of they after the original Xbox came out in what 2001,
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
2001 2002, and basically in about 15 years they have yet to really penetrate anywhere outside of North America, big time.
Yeah, fair enough. But my question was going to be, before you just like jump down my throat,
Sorry.
was that you don't need to apologize. It's fine. My question was though is that, as you said, the 360 sold very well in the last generation. It was a very solid console for Microsoft, at least in North America and the West in general. Whereas the Xbox One is not doing as well now. It's basically being beaten pretty hard by the PS4. I don't think anyone's going to debate that. Why do you think that is? I think personally, from my perspective, I think that it's really because the PS4 is just really getting the better exclusives in that regard. What do you think?
Better exclusives, and let's not underestimate how flat on their face they fell right when the Xbox One came out. With the whole Force Connect, Sony jabbing them left and right on all their stupid decision making at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like doubling down on the Kinect and trying to make that forced was obviously a pretty big mistake. I've still got my original Kinect plugged in. I just used it for voice commands, and that's it. Obviously, there's no support for it these days. So
yeah, so I wouldn't underestimate how that really bad start shot them in the foot with regards to sales, because everyone that first year then went to a PS4, and since they're so similar, there's no need to own both, especially since, let's be honest, Microsoft's biggest issue has always been exclusives, and exclusives people care about.
Yeah.
Because the only name recognition one they have is Halo, and first-person shooters are a dime a dozen still even today. So,
yeah. Well, I think certainly there's the choice of exclusives they get, because Sony's got like a nice kind of broad swath of exclusives in terms of things for fighting games, things for adventure games, things for racing games and whatnot. Whereas Microsoft is still really doubling down on that core market of the bro gamer with their shooters and their sports games, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, definitely.
They took an early swing. Sorry, like with some other things like Sunset Overdrive, which I fucking love that game, and I'm really sad. If there was a Sunset Overdrive 2 at E3 this year, I would lose my fucking mind. But aside from that, like that was again kind of like very early days for Microsoft. They've really moved away from that now.
Yeah, I mean, name one RPG for the system, really.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So,
I mean, Final Fantasy 15 did get a version of it in North America, but honestly, no one's buying an Xbox to play Final Fantasy. You already have a PlayStation for that.
You say that, but I bought Final Fantasy on my Xbox.
Wow, you're all one of three sales for it?
I'm like one of the 3 people who bought Final Fantasy 15 on my Xbox, and I instantly regretted it, because Square Enix clearly gave so little fucks about porting that game to Xbox One that it runs at a visibly lower resolution than it does on PS4.
Well, that's because they knew all 3 people would buy it.
That's like, they obviously went, well, this is running like a shit in that console. We can't be bothered to optimize it. Just run it at a low resolution. That's it. It's running it's like this really, it's like in this weird territory between SD and HD. It's like this really fuzzy HD looking thing. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's early HD.
It is easily the fuzziest, blurriest looking HD game I've ever seen. It's really weird. So,
all right.
Yeah,
well, I guess back to our pre-3 general topic. That's sort of an interesting thing, because Microsoft always has an uphill battle in that regard. Because Sony can just come out and show more Final Fantasy VII, and everyone will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's really, unfortunately, I think it's really a 2-horse race at the moment between Sony and Nintendo, because Sony obviously has the largest install base out there at the moment. It has the biggest amount to lose right now, and Nintendo obviously is doing very, very strongly with the Switch at the moment. Whether that will last, obviously, only time will tell. But at the moment,
I think Nintendo actually has more to lose this E3 than Sony does.
They're not really doing a big presentation though this year, aren't they? I mean, they are doing a presentation, which
they've been doing their quote unquote E3 directs every year for like the past 3 or 4 years now. So that's not inherently any different. I'm more talking about what they could potentially show.
Okay. Well, what do you think is going to be so critical for them at this E3?
Just showing new big games that people will want to run out and buy Switches for, because more or less since its launch, we have Splatoon coming out later in July, which I'm sure will certainly help, but no, the holiday season is the big seller, and as we saw with the Wii U, Mario can't do it alone. So
Mario can carry everything. Damn it!
As much as Nintendo would want him to, that's not exactly the case.
Yeah. Fair enough. And they've already released Zelda, so they can't really do anything with that at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any like DLC or anything coming out for Zelda?
They already have the 2 DLC packs more or less announced.
But isn't that just like sort of random crap? It's not really like extra content or anything?
It's more or less what Nintendo was going to do from the get-go when they announced DLC in the first place.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, that's I mean, that's kind of E3 for me. I don't know what to expect. Like generally when I go into E3, I don't want to hear about games that I already know are coming out. Normally, I want to hear about new sequels that I don't know about. Those are the things that usually more excite me than like, oh, here's a new trailer for that game you've already seen 2 trailers for.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the hope that a lot of people always have going into E3. So, unfortunately, with less than a week away, we're also getting into spoiler territory. Like people have already found stuff for the Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I saw something about that. I wasn't even looking very hard. Is there anything notable about that?
It's supposedly in Egypt.
Oh, yeah. I would love to see either a Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, which I think would work. Yes, I know that was a 2D side scroll that was, but I want a fully fledged 3D game. Which is set
where
in
you're like an actual ninja.
Yeah, where you're an actual fucking ninja, because that would make sense. I don't know why Ubisoft just straight out refused to do that, or like set in the future. I think that just like, I mean, the Animus is already bullshit. Like, oh, you can go to people's memories and do shit and extract it out of their fucking DNA. Once it's okay, we extrapolated where you'll be in the future. Here's your future ninja assassin bullshit.
Or because your main character, who I can't even remember the guy's name, lived these lives. He acquired all the skills because he lived them. Now he's doing stuff in the future to take down whoever evil corporation, have you.
That would be more interesting to me. But anyway, that's not it. I mean, I played Syndicate. It was alright. It was okay. Yeah. But that's about it. All right, let's move on from there. Let's talk about. We're talking about Nintendo earlier. Let's talk about how they're just really being terrible fucking people right now by releasing Pokken DX on the Switch.
I wouldn't say terrible. I would say utterly. I wouldn't say terrible. I would just say kind of pointless.
Well, the first thing that struck me about this, as soon as I heard about this, because for people who don't know, with Pokken, Pokken was originally released in the arcades in Japan, because Japan is the only place that still has fucking arcades these days.
And it's also the only place Game Freak actually cares about.
That's right, yeah, exactly. And it was obviously reported to the Wii U after that, but with the arcade version kept getting new characters, kept getting new Pokemons added to it, and the Wii U did not. And so people were asking, okay, well, when are we going to get these DLC characters added to our Wii U version? It never happened. They just assumed that the game had basically been abandoned by Nintendo, which it obviously was. And Nintendo's now turned around and said, hey kids, we're now releasing Pokken DX for the Switch. It's the same game. Now has those characters that really should have been DLC in the first place.
That had been in Japan for ages and ages and ages. Plus one.
Exactly. Plus one new character. So you get one whole new fucking character. This is really the same kind of argument that I made with Super Street Fighter whatever fucking edition it was on the Switch, and I said, like, no, it's the same fucking game as before, which has been released several times. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying a console to get this fucking game, and even if I did own the console, I still wouldn't buy the game. So this is really the same kind of thing. It's really taking a page from the Capcom playbook by releasing a slightly different version with slightly more characters.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's one of those things where people are kind of interested to see if the first year of the Switch kind of becomes a Wii U port machine, based on how badly the Wii U console did in general. If Nintendo just decides to port all their mildly successful games over. But Pokken's one of the weird examples of it has a lot of good ideas, but it needs a lot more work. So I think doing a straight port instead of giving it time and effort for a full sequel to fix all those problems really isn't a good idea.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just why, it's hard to not see this as a cash grab, really, because it's going to be a full price game. I mean, Street Fighter released for $40 fucking on the Switch for a game which came out 10 years before as a HD re-release for like $15 on Xbox Live or PSN for
a game that's functionally been around for 25 years.
Exactly. So, I mean, releasing as effectively as an almost full-price title. This is going to be a full-price title. You know it will be. So how do you justify this as anything other than a cash grab?
Yeah, I don't know how they really justify it either. I think they're just kind of hoping that most people don't know there's a Wii U game in general because of how bad that system did.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also one of those things where I'm curious if this will somehow affect any potential Smash port for the Switch. Because they could easily say, oh, well, we have our big fighting game on the Switch already. It's Pokken, so we're not going to release a Smash port because we're focusing on making a Smash 5 or whatever.
Yeah. As a brief aside, just talking about fighting games on Nintendo consoles, did you see the pop-off that Hungrybox did at the last Smash tournament?
No, what happened?
Well, just to paraphrase, basically, Hungrybox is obviously a very prominent Smash player.
Yep.
He's been around for a very long time, and the last tournament that he won, I forget the exact name of it, doesn't really matter. Basically, he did a post interview afterwards. And they asked him about it, and he basically just called out Nintendo. He didn't say Nintendo because obviously he didn't want them coming down on him for anything, but he just said a certain company, obviously referring to them, and basically went on to go on a big rant about how they're doing absolutely nothing to support the esports scene regarding Smash and other games like that.
Yeah, that's been a common thing with Nintendo because they're super controlling about everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember how a few years ago Nintendo didn't want Melee at EVO because they couldn't control the output.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, that's a whole other conversation that I don't know if you want to get into, but it's, yeah, whether they should really ride that, jump on that train, I guess. Obviously Nintendo was, so entrenched in their old ways, which is something which we've covered many times before and we don't need to do again. But, whether they'll actually finally acknowledge that this is going to be happening, whether they want it to or not, I suppose.
It's one of those things I think it would be a good step in the right direction to build goodwill with older or more core fans, because that's always been their weakness since the Wii, is courting those older, more core fans of gaming in general.
Yeah, pretty much. Alright, so do we have anything more to talk about with Pokken DX, or do you want to move on?
We can move on. I don't see much more to talk about Pokken, because it's still a very basic, bare-bones fighting game with a horrible single-player campaign.
I don't think it's bare bones. I mean, I own the Wii U version. I think that there's plenty of meat on said bones. I think that, I don't know how much depth there is to it because I never really bothered to learn it that much. But it seemed like, it's not like Street Fighter V where it just released with online basically and nothing else. There's a fair bit of content there.
Well, then again, most fighting games look, really full by comparison to Street Fighter V Vanilla when that just came out.
Alright, fine. Alright, let's move on. Let's talk about the live adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, because
no,
this has been something that's been kicking around for a long time. There's rumors several years ago that Keanu Reeves was trying to get it turned into a movie, and so forth, and that kind of died down, and then now we've just received confirmation that there's going to be a live version. Is it a live Japanese or a live US version?
It's US version for TV.
Okay, and who's making it?
I don't remember the studio, but I think one of the producers or writers is a guy who wrote a movie that has a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
It wasn't the Baywatch movie. All right, so for people who don't know this, yes, there's going to be a live adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, or at least essentially it's been approved. We don't know. Yeah, obviously this may take off, may not.
Insert. We already had that. It's called Firefly joke here.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: is that this isn't really a rant from a couple of anime nerds about it's going to be terrible. It's going to be so bad. That happens every time there's going to be an adaptation of anything. That's really
mostly due to Hollywood's absolutely abysmal track record with anime, but.
I will say that I didn't mind the Ghost in the Shell adaptation, even though I'm really not a fan of Scarlett Johansson.
It was probably generally the best one they've done, and that's very meh.
It's good. It's not great. I would have given it like a solid 6.5, maybe a 7 if I was generous. But that's so I was kind of okay with that. Originally I was against that as well, but when I saw pictures of it come out, I was like, okay, this might work. They're obviously putting actual effort in trying to convert it. Whereas this is a little bit different, because anyone who knows anything about anime, even the slightest bit, has heard basically there's certain things you need to see. One of them being Akira, one of them being Ghost in the Shell, and the other one being Cowboy Bebop, really. That's kind of the holy trinity of if you're going to get an anime, these are the things that you really need to start with.
As far as not more younger audience generated stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, obviously, if you didn't start out with things like Pokemon or Digimon or whatever,
Dragon Ball Z or something. Yeah.
yeah, Dragon Ball Z, exactly. Yes. So and the thing about Cowboy Bebop is that like it's not even. I don't even think that people can really compare it with Studio Ghibli. I mean, Studio Ghibli is an adored series, but there are certain people who may not appreciate it as much as others. Where I don't think I've heard anything other than flat universal praise for Cowboy Bebop. It's like basically it's probably like one of the most perfect series ever conceived.
Yeah, and
would you agree with that?
I would agree. It's probably my favorite show of all time. If you force me to pick one, because obviously it depends on your mood whenever you sit down to watch something, but
yeah,
exactly. It's a case of where everything that could have gone right with the talent that they had, which they certainly did have a lot of talent, but everything that could have gone right certainly did.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's no way you can ever truly replicate that. So the idea of adapting it to something else just seems kind of foolhardy.
That's the point I was going to get to. Is that like it's impossible. Like once we establish that this is a universally adored series and it's viewed as just something which is absolutely perfect in its own way, it's impossible to improve on perfection. You can't do it. It's already perfect. You can only make it worse from that point forward. You can only go downhill.
Which, as we've seen with Hollywood, they don't know how to do. So
exactly. So that's really the problem that I think a lot of people have with it. It's like there's no foreseeable way we can go. They could improve on this. They could make it better. They could make it different. That in a way that I'd appreciate, because it's already so good by itself. So I know I'm kind of like going around the same point over and over again, but like I really just can't stress this enough as a person who just absolutely adores the original series and the movie as well. There's any way this could turn out well at all that I could foresee, and I would love to be proven wrong, but I can't see any way that could possibly happen.
Yeah, especially with a TV-sized budget compared to big action Hollywood film thing, where no matter how much money they try to throw at it, you're trying to make at least a season series of Cowboy Bebop. There's no way they have the money to make it look good, because even back in the, I mean, I know this was about a decade ago when Keanu Reeves was still trying to push for his live-action movie, but back then he said it would basically be the most expensive movie ever made if they tried to make it actually look good and comparative to the animation.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's another good point that I was going to get to, is that like maybe if they had like a Game of Thrones-ish kind of budget, they could kind of potentially have a shot at making it work. But obviously, no one's going to want to throw down that kind of money on an unproven concept. So that it's not going to have that kind of budget behind it.
Yeah, especially after Ghost in the Shell, which is, as we said, probably the best overall Hollywood adaptation of an anime, and that still didn't do well. They're going to be very weird.
I didn't see any final numbers on that. Do you have any idea?
I'd have to look it up, but I'm
actually going to look it up while we're talking about this.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it made its money back, but I hear it's, they don't want just making its money back. They want, explosion good. So
franchise good.
Yeah, so Speed Racer was a flop. Dragon Ball Evolution was a massive flop.
Yeah.
Avatar, I know that's not technically anime, but it might as well be. Avatar: The Last Airbender did horribly.
There's
so
it's that.
Yes. I'm not saying there isn't, but most of the anime adaptations have been colossal financial bombs. Yeah. So no one's going to throw that kind of money at it.
All right. Well, according to Google at the moment, it did make a profit back, but not much. Budget was 110 million, and it's made 170 million back. I don't know whether that's global or US, but yeah,
that's not going to be good enough for studios.
Well, no, that's the thing, because everyone knows the golden rule when studios make a movie is that they have the budget and then you double the budget for promotion. So if that's the case, they still haven't made their money back yet.
Yeah.
So that's obviously going to be a problem there. So yeah, there's just no conceivable way that I can really see this is going to work. And obviously, we should just leave it there. But that's really that's the long and the short of it.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the general attitude I could tell when I was searching, the Twitters and forums and all that. So generally, the attitude is just don't waste your time.
Exactly. Yeah. Just don't. Please don't. Move on. Find something else. Do any show or something. I don't fucking care.
But don't you want to go see Light Turner with his super emo Death Notes? Copying,
Oh my god!
copying Peter
actually,
Parker from Spider-Man 3's dance scene with his hairstyle.
I hadn't actually seen Death Note. I'm actually watching it now. I'm actually finally working my way through that series. So there's certain series which I just never got around to watching, like Gurren Lagann and things like that. And Death Note's another one of those. So I'm actually watching that at the moment. So I'm finally catching up. But I'm watching the English dub, so I don't know whether that's or not.
No, the English dub is generally fine, except for Potato Chip.
For Potato Chip, I don't think I've seen that yet.
I'll masquerade by writing names by doing my homework with my right hand, and with my left hand I'll take a potato chip.
Oh,
and
that's right.
Eat it.
That was so weird. That was I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, that's a very long running meme with the franchise.
Okay. All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on from there. No one needs to hear about how far I am behind on classic animes. All right, Nintendo Online. Was there anything pertinent that needed to be discussed regarding that?
Not really, other than the fact that, wow, it must be a universal size eclipse or something, because Nintendo actually listened to people.
Yes, which was that was kind of the interesting thing, because they did that thing that you said. They listened to people, which is obviously, as we're just discussing, something that they normally never do.
Yeah, I think that's the more interesting part of it, rather than the fact that they actually changed it.
And it's actually pretty reasonably priced, because I saw the price and I was like, oh, they're charging $20 a month? That's pretty, expensive for a service. But it's no, it's actually $20 a year, which is pretty fucking reasonable.
Yeah, especially considering they're the company of the main three that have done the most piss poor job with online in general, so keeping it reasonably priced is probably the only way they would get people to buy it in the first place, while they use the money to actually build their systems up.
Exactly. So it's let's just hope that this is perhaps a sign that they're finally trying to mend their wicked ways, I suppose. Maybe listen to people, maybe do those things that we were asking them to do, maybe transport the esports scene more. I know that's a big leap, but maybe it's the first step in the right direction.
Hopefully so, and it also got delayed till the start of next year. I think they realized that charging for people online right after the holiday box would probably be a bad idea.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, that being the case, let's talk about there was a big list that got leaked for Marvel's Capcom Infinite, which I've already done a video about, but I'll talk about it a bit here, because I know that a lot of people don't really listen to me on my channel, because we're really here to see an airman, nothing else, because no one cares about me. But
well, this is technically on my channel. If they want to listen to you, they could go to your channel, which is linked in the description, by the way.
Oh, why don't you go down there and click that link and see what's going on? And that said, so there's a list that was leaked for Marvel's Capcom Infinite, and
oh look, not a single X-Men. Take that, Fox.
Here's the interesting thing, is that my channel isn't nearly as wonderfully successful as Nairman's channel is, at least with the Brain Scratch coming and whatnot. And so when I post a video, normally it'll get, 100, 200, 300 views, something like that, not very big. I post this video for Marvel's Capcom Infinite, and it's already up to like 4,000 at the moment views, which is great for me. But what's more interesting about that is that almost every single comment on that is universally negative in their thoughts on the list that got leaked, because this is a list, obviously the internet is full of lists from various people going, oh, I got the inside scoop, I got the inside baseball on what's going on with Marvel's Capcom Infinite. And no one really puts any faith in that, because they're probably just making it up, or just doing it to get views or whatever. Yeah. But this particular list came from a guy who has a very long history with confirmed leaks. So he would leak something and it would turn out to be absolutely correct. He was the person who leaked the existence of Marvel's Capcom Infinite well before it was actually announced at the Sony conference last year. So when he leaks this list regarding the initial launch lineup for Marvel's Capcom, it's something that people sit up and take notice about. And so that being the case, it's a really fucking boring list. It's a list which basically, I mean, Capcom side it is what it is, and there's some questionable things being put in there, like Nemesis. Why the fuck would anyone want Nemesis?
Well, he was in Ultimate vs. Capcom 3, so reuse those assets.
I'm well aware of that, but that aside, he's not really, Resident Evil 3 is not really a darling of the franchise. No one really gives a shit about Nemesis, so why he's made it into 2 games now, boggles anyone's mind. That said, the Marvel side of it looks like it was decided not from, and this is what I think really pisses people off, is it doesn't look like it was decided by fans or by popular opinion or by what people thought would be good.
It was decided by the MCU.
It was decided by the MCU and the Marvel marketing department saying, okay, these are the characters we need to push for our franchises.
Yep, and we're going to be super petty to Fox by not putting in any X-Men, no Fantastic Four, and no Deadpool.
That's right. So no Deadpool, no Fantastic Four, no nothing that is not already in the MCU. So there's Rocket Raccoon, there's Groot, there's Gamora, all those kind.
Spider-Man can stay because Sony's playing nice.
That's right. And Venom will allegedly be one of the first DLC characters, so that ties into that. But yeah, it's an incredibly, and maybe Nairman will be nice enough to put the list up on the screen right now. I don't know. It's up to him in editing. But it's just rest assured, it's a really fucking boring. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just bring up my video and just go through it and just react.
Yeah, that'd probably be better.
That'd
for
probably
most
be the
people.
better answer because you're really lazy, aren't you? You don't want to put that in editing.
Well, it's a podcast, so people won't be looking at the screen when they listen to this. So
okay, fine. We'll do that thing which is good for people, I guess. While I'm doing that, like, what are any other thoughts primarily while I just bring that up?
I'm not really sure what to feel about the Capcom side, because we've done this song and dance, about 5 times if we're counting Street Fighter across, what is it, X-Men?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. There's Street Fighter vs. X-Men, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, There's been a lot of spin-offs.
Yeah, so we're more or less getting the same characters we've gotten before, just, at least we're getting a Mega Man this time, but, Sorry.
Let me jump in. Sorry, the list is from the Capcom side. You've got Arthur, Chris, Chun-Li, Dante, Firebrand, Jeddah from Darkstalkers, Monster Hunter, who I assume is just going to be a dude with armor, Morrigan, Nemesis, Ryu, Spencer, Strider Hiryu, and X, obviously being Mega Man. Then this is the part that really just pisses people off tremendously. Is you got Ant-Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Gamora, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man, Nova, Rocket/Groot, which may potentially be one character, we're not sure, Spider-Man, Thanos, Thor, and Ultron, and as I said, Venom is going to be a DLC character. So that's the part which is really pissing people off, because that's a fucking boring list.
Yeah, it's almost entirely a who's who of the MCU.
Exactly, yes. So there has been a persistent rumor going around for quite a while now, which is that there will be X-Men as DLC packs. So there'll be an X-Men themed DLC pack later down the road, but those are from less reputable sources, so no one's putting a huge amount of faith in that. That's more like, okay, that'd be really nice if it was true sort of territory.
Yeah, and again, it probably depends on how well Fox wants to play nice with any potential movie stuff. Even though Marvel has the gaming rights for all the characters, so they could put anyone they want in the game, they're not going to because they're stupid petty.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. Because a lot of people go, "Oh, well, Marvel don't have the rights to them." No, Marvel don't have the cinematic rights. They sold the cinema rights. They still have all the rights to put those characters in the games. They just don't want to. That's the important distinction to remember.
Yep. So that's why the Marvel list is incredibly bare bones and uninteresting, and Capcom's kind of just doing the same old song and dance.
Yeah, exactly. So, while obviously Capcom are eager to not repeat the mistakes they made with Street Fighter V, they're just making a whole host of new mistakes instead now.
Unfortunately so. Although the Marvel side of the roster may be out of their hands entirely, so.
Yeah, and we're not really blaming them for that. But even so, there's, like I said, there's still some questionable things in the Capcom side as well. But anyway, it's just fucking disappointing, and hopefully maybe we'll see something at E3, which will...
I guarantee we'll see something regarding the game at E3, considering it's supposed to come out later this year, so...
Whether there'll be something interesting, and something that'll hopefully get people a little bit more on side with them is what I was going to get to, though. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Hard to say. It'll be interesting to see what they do, especially after, now that Injustice 2 is out.
Yeah, exactly. Injustice 2 and Tekken 7 and the new version of Guilty Gear and all that kind of hoo-has. It's a crazy time for fighting games at the moment. But let's move on from there just to our final topic, which is going to be a recurring theme, I think, on the podcast. It's the part where Nairman and Red complain about Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, more or less. 4.5 hours until the Universal Tournament begins. 5 episodes later, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory?
I saw your tweet on that, then I watched the episode, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of is like that. So here's the thing, is I'm actually holding a palm against my forehead right now. And
should we start with? I assume we're.
Hang on. Before we go into that anymore, let's preface this by saying, and if we haven't already, let's preface this by saying that we are both Dragon Ball fans. We do love the franchise, and we actually want it to do well, which is why it hurts us to have to do this.
Yeah,
we'd rather talk about how awesome it is.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure it probably will once we actually get to the tournament. The problem is getting to the tournament.
So this is the problem that I have, is that, like, with watching the most recent episode, where we got to see
I assume we'll kind of stick it to the two most recent topics of finally getting to see quote unquote female Broly and Freezer.
Well, actually, I want to talk about, like, just the whole process of becoming Super Saiyan, because this is the part that really actually bothers me more
Yeah,
than
well,
anything
this
else.
is the last two episodes, but yeah.
These are the last two episodes, yes. So the thing is, like, turning Super Saiyan was always a really fucking big deal in the Dragon Ball universe. And yes, I'll acknowledge that obviously Gotenks and Trunks did it as kind of a joke, which I was never really that okay with. But I'm like, okay, well, obviously, like, this is, like, you know, it is obviously meant to be done as a joke, because, like, even Vegeta is just going, like, it's a Super Saiyan bargain sale.
And even the thing is that even Goten and Trunks still transformed well, enraged about something, even if it was kind of stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So at least they had a reasoning for it. Whereas now it's been simplified to the point where you just have to make your back tingly. Or it's just focus your energy in your back, make it tingly, and you will achieve, like, the legend, like the most revered form of being a Saiyan possible. Like, yeah, something that's been legend for thousands of years has been boiled down to make your back tingly, and it just hurts my fucking soul. It really does, because it used to fucking mean something. Back in my day, being a Super Saiyan was a big fucking deal.
Yeah, everyone has issues with that, and I don't know how they're going to try and backpedal their way from that.
Yeah, and I get that, like, I suppose for, like, plot reasons, if they wanted to, like, you know, have like this race of Saiyans who they don't have tails and whatnot, they wanted to have them as being Super Saiyans for this tournament. They had to expedite the process somehow, but there had to be a better way to do it than this.
Yeah,
there had to be, like, a less fucking dumb way to do it than this.
And somehow that not only works for just regular Super Saiyans, it now works for legendary Super Saiyans.
Exactly, which is the other part we're going to talk about is that, and this is actually the part that I have less of a problem with, because I did some reading around the interwebs. I looked at the articles on Kotaku and whatnot, and they're talking about the fact that, like, we have what is effectively a Rule kind of isn't a Rule 63 version of Broly, and I don't mind that because apparently Broly himself isn't actually canon as far as the Dragon Ball universe goes. Which
the movies, except for Bardock and History of Trunks, are not canon.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that clarification. So yes, that obviously has a lot of people excited because they do like Broly, and that Broly movie was a great fucking movie. So to have that character back, albeit in a slightly different form, is still pretty neat. And so I'm actually okay with that. I have far less of a problem with Rule 63 Broly than I do with the actual Super Saiyan transformation in general.
Yeah, I don't mind Kale, that's her name.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the method, and ultimately where you have to wait and see what they actually do with her.
Yeah, there's a lot of homages in there to the original movie. A lot of animations that were basically lifted straight from the movie, which is fine because it was obviously a deliberate homage to that. And like I said, I'm actually okay with it. I actually don't mind that at all.
Yeah, same here. I'm just curious how, once we actually get to the tournament, how the first female Super Saiyan and legendary girl Broly will actually do.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be far more powerful than they actually have any right to be, just to be able to keep up with the other characters.
Most likely, because even, as we've seen, that even androids 18, 19, and Piccolo should inherently be stronger than a base-level Super Saiyan, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Inherently, Kaba and whatever the other girl's name is, I can't remember, Fleifa should have, like, no chance.
Yeah, exactly. It should be, incredibly one-sided. But that's... Yeah, as you said before, fuck Super Saiyans, fuck power levels, and fuck you, basically.
Yeah. So what do you think of Freezer coming back?
I'm actually interested by it. I actually think I think the concept of Goku and Frieza and company working together is actually fairly interesting. I don't really have a problem with that either. I think it's an interesting, considering that they keep bringing Frieza back like he's this, like, beloved character, and I don't personally see what everyone's fixation with Freezer is. I didn't think he was a memorable villain, yes, but he kind of served his purpose in the story, and we should really move on. I don't think we should really keep coming back to him as a kind of a crutch more than anything else. But apparently we are. So
apparently we are, and I kind of just don't get why Goku's so okay with this, because throughout the course of the entire series, even through Dragon Ball, it's kind of weird because it's one of those things where most people kind of see it as Frieza's the one person Goku, like, just outright hates.
Yeah, he did perform some truly horrible things, like killing his best friend in front of him.
Yeah, among other things. So it's one of those things where we're continuing the out of character Goku train of Super just going on of, no, I don't see, unless there was absolutely no other way that Goku would ever turn to Frieza for help for anything.
Well, to be fair, they are facing the prospect of being wiped from existence.
Yeah, but surely you could find someone even half decent that would be willing to fight, but I guess Goku just doesn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you're going to go to hell to bring someone back, there's probably better people than Frieza you could do. I mean, I suppose he's got his golden form now, but even so, it's kind of... I don't know. I mean, if they can make Android 17 as powerful as Super Saiyan Blue for no fucking reason, then there's really no reason they couldn't do it for any other character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, they were just training in hell that entire time. Now they're a lot stronger. Yay.
Yeah, something like that. So...
Also, why does Frieza get to keep his body wings in hell when no one else got to?
Because he's up. The rules have never been fucking consistent, and you know this.
Because that was the deal when Vegeta went to hell, is he had to get his body back first before he could go help Goku with Boo.
Yeah.
Even King Yagami made a point about it. He's like, oh, I'm glad I kept this guy's body safe for no fucking reason in case this exact situation came up.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of they forgot their own rules.
Pretty much, yeah. It's, as we've already discussed, the rules for things and how they should be is just all over the place and whatnot. So yeah, it's dumb.
Over under on will be at the tournament the next time we do one of these.
Hopefully, yes, we'll actually have made it to the fucking tournament because apparently now there's only 1.5 hours left. So I don't know. That could be several episodes.
Yeah, so going by Freezer, time another 300.
Exactly. Yes. So. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us for this episode. So, yeah, thank you guys very much for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you didn't mind the gap between episodes, but that's going to happen sometimes. Anything else before we head out there, man?
Not particularly. I guess whether or not we do a post E3 thing kind of depends on what exactly happens there.
I'm sure we'll cover some things even if we don't care about them. So that'll be a thing. We'll see how we go. But in the meantime, guys, kisses, hugs, and belly rubs. We will see all of you very soon.